right, everybody. If you're a frequent listener of the podcast or watcher or viewer, whatever the word is, and you're watching on YouTube, you might notice I'm in Dan's spot today, which means he's not here. So Dan's out being Buddy the Elf. One of the drawbacks of being so busy this time of year in the business is I don't think he's had a lot of time to do Christmas shopping and things like that. So we're just kind of trying to stay productive here. Things have been really, really busy for kind of an end of the year, but we've got a special Barstool Sports-esque bro podcast here. I got the fellas with us. We're all swagged out in some of the new Agent Boost gear, new Agent Boost hoodies. So today, we just actually maybe hold one of those shoes up. We got everybody on corporate staff custom Nikes, some Travis Scott's lows or highs with Agent Boost. And we got a lot of our top agents, some top Agent Boost. It says top agent on the side, kind of like the off-white style, custom branded Nikes for all of our top agents. So hopefully there'll be a wearable trophy that those guys all appreciate. So with me today, these new faces, we have what we call our agent success managers or our internal team leads. And so let's go around and introduce yourselves. Rich, you've been on the podcast before.
Yeah, so second time. So Rich Post, one of the agent success managers. You want to do a quick intro? Just pass the mic.
Yeah, let's do a quick intro because you've been on, probably been a year since you were on.
Yeah, I think I was on one of the first podcasts, so it's been a while. Definitely have grown, right? More team members, more processes, things like that. And so, yeah.
Just like a quick reminder for everybody if they haven't seen like how we got connected and how long you've been with or affiliated with Agent Boost.
God, I think I tell the story multiple ways, but it's probably been over a decade at some point. Started off as a field agent out in the field, kitchen table, doing those community events and kind of that type of agent. And then late 2021, I kind of transitioned to our virtual team, the Medicare Advocates team. And then probably that was most of 21, last 21, then 22, then came internal as a team leader. And so that's kind of been my position for the past 2 years. And wasn't always agent success manager, but that's what it is now. And so love it.
Yep. And Rich just got promoted internally. We have different levels, kind of like internal agency structure. And so he's like one of our agent directors or what we call like a regional team lead. So congrats on the new promotion. And Rich is also active military, so always appreciate your service, my friend.
Well, again, appreciate the opportunity, right? It's always a pleasure to help other people grow in their business and kind of mentor people. And then the military part, probably looking at the last 9 months, starting to submit the paperwork now to kind of sign off.
Rich likes Medicare money and insurance money more than military money.
For sure. Yeah. So
appreciate it. Hey, so we'll kick it off over, young Tate.
All right, you guys might be thinking, who's this young buck here? But my name's Tate Wallace. Like Mike mentioned, one of the agent success managers here as well. I kind of got in sales right out of high school. Started, typical door-to-door. I sold windows, kind of promoted myself where I ended up running and training all of the new guys. And then I ended up just running the entire Utah branch. Transitioned from there to life insurance because, door-to-door is very, temporal, like temporary money. Switched to life insurance and then was able to find this awesome opportunity and swap over here and, use my talents to help myself grow and, other agents and stuff. So it's pretty awesome. So I'm glad to be here.
Love it.
Yeah, Jordan Thompson, also along these guys, agent success manager. And I got into Medicare in 2015. I was working a warehouse job, and a good buddy of mine is like, hey, do you want to come sell insurance over the phone, make more money? I'm like, okay. So I did that for 8 straight years on the phone. Just
For who?
For one of our competitors at eHealth. 8 years, did a ton.
Friends, competitors.
Frenemies, probably.
Yeah.
There's a lot of acquaintances, a lot of people that work here that I knew back at the old eHealth days, and did that for a while, ended up leaving back in 2023. Did a couple different things for like 6-10 months. Software sales. I did landscape and snow removal for like 3 months. I'm like, I just need to get back into what I know. And I knew Medicare a lot. And luckily stumbled across this job and was able to interview and get it. And it's been fantastic ever since. So I've been here since February. So I'm the third one out of the 3 because I think I was the last one hired. So
Yeah, so I wanted to have these guys on today, kind of end of the year. Agent Boost is growing a lot. We've had a lot of success, especially this last year. This last year I feel like was pretty difficult with the industry overall. And we had a lot, what I would consider a lot of success with this channel and with you guys. And so I wanted to, bring some of the things that we've been learning, shout out some of the agents that have been doing a good job, and just kind of talk about the state of the things. But you guys did a tremendous job, and we'll kind of get into that. But I wanted to first, tell everybody and kind of give you guys some props as to why we chose you guys and what I think, your skill sets are and why I like you guys. I'll start with young Tate. We call him young Tate because I think I have a child that's almost as old as Tate or very close to it. So it makes me feel old. But
I have one older than you.
Oh yeah. So he's our young buck, and how did we even get connected with you? Did you just apply, or
I just applied and
I interviewed Tate, and I was like, yeah, this kid's young. He's like 19 or 20, and he's already been on an LDS mission, and he was like a wildland fire crew, but he broke his arm, and he was like a door-to-door guy selling life. Like, I don't know how he's done all this stuff in 2 or 3 years, but he has like 10 years worth of life experience in a year and a half somehow. So also in the interview, I was telling Tate during lunch today that it was between him and two other candidates. And one of the candidates I was considering was a girl that worked at Jersey Mike's that we just went for lunch, and she was just really good. Like, she was really good at managing the crowd and like her other employees and interacting. I was like, man, this girl would be like a really good team leader. Like, I could teach her the business, and I'm sure she'd make more money with us than she is as a sandwich artist. But there was another candidate that we were considering with Tate, and on his resume, he put that he was, do you remember this?
Yeah.
An Eagle Scout.
Yeah.
And I'm an Eagle Scout, Dan's an Eagle Scout, and it was a really big deal for my parents and us growing up as kids to be Eagle Scouts. And I remember being told as a kid, one day you'll be going up on a job interview, and it'll be between you and another person, and they'll come down to the point on your resume where it says that you're an Eagle Scout, and that'll be the differentiator between you and this other candidate. So I was like, you know what, Tate? Today is your lucky day.
The prophecy is fulfilled.
We're hiring you. The prophecies of old are fulfilled. And because you got your Eagle Scout, you're getting the job over this other guy.
Shout out to my mom for that. She really pushed me to get my Eagle Scout. So
yeah, so there we go. I mean, we won't get into the whole the Boy Scouts of America, modern day.
That's a rabbit hole.
That's an aside that we could go down. But that was the story of Tate. Was he had a lot of experience, and he's like this young, energetic guy. Just really cares a lot, done a lot for his team. Works really hard, very, very coachable, and he's already had a lot of success. Jordan has come over from the industry from eHealth, and as we've talked about before on the podcast, a lot of people don't realize that Utah, where we're based, even though it's a small, low-populated state, because of a lot of the linguistic and sales backgrounds, there's a lot of call centers here. And GoHealth, eHealth, all the main e-telebrokers that have really been prominent over the past decade have either their flagship facility or one of their flagship facilities here. And so Jordan's come, these people know each other and their leadership. And, if you worked at one, you've the legends of how you are at kind of permeate your reputation precedes you. And everybody always speaks very highly of Jordan. And everybody always is, he's been one of those hires, kind of like Heather that I'm looking at, where if everybody knows who they are, it makes our company better because we have somebody of Jordan's caliber. So we have a lot of experience with him, and then he still knows a lot of people in the industry, and we occasionally have a lot of crossovers from those other big competitors, and he's one that where we can go, hey, tell us what you know about this person over there. Are they an Agent Boost person or not? So really appreciate that about you, and you've done a fantastic job too.
Thanks, appreciate that.
Yeah, and then Rich, he's very, very coachable, always trying to get better. He's done a great job as an agent, and he's helped. He was kind of the guinea pig a little bit of testing out and proving out that model, and he's one of those guys where it's like, hey man, let's go figure this out. Let's go be willing to test it. And so he's one of the, the core Agent Boost team members too. So really appreciate all of you guys, and not to glaze you too much like my kids say, but my you guys have all done a really, really good job and have been a big factor in Agent Boost's growth and success this year. And one of the things that I think is a little bit unique is there was a time it took a little bit longer to kind of get things going. Mm-hmm. And there was like a middle point in the year, kind of a month or two before AEP, where a lot of the agents hadn't really kind of come online and weren't really producing, and things kind of took like hockey sticked up and kind of started turning around. The sales started coming in. I think you guys started making a lot more connections and epiphanies and working together as a good team, as a unit, and helping each other out and helping each other's agents out. And we saw like a tidal wave of new agents coming on board and being successful. So, really shout out to you guys. Props to you. One thing I want to point out too, that I think makes us different and makes these guys different, is one thing that's very important to us at Agent Boost is if they're going to help you and teach, train, and develop you, they have to know what you're doing as well. So these guys all have sold or are selling still currently, personally produce a little bit. They're responsible for like team goals, team unit numbers. And so if they have to bear a little bit of the lion's share of the load and carry their weight for production, if their team's, not doing it, these guys do it. And so that's been a very, I think as you guys, maybe you guys can each chime in, but as we move towards that as being an emphasis of saying, hey, you guys really make sure you know how to do it. You've got your feet in the dirt. You can teach, train, and develop these other agents. We saw a lot of pickup right then. Yeah,
so I'll just go ahead and jump in first. Like, as I was kind of preparing for AEP, I was kind of looking at the agents I had and was like, okay, well, based off my, napkin math, I'll take that one. Mm-hmm. Based off my napkin math, I'm going to have to produce a little bit. Originally I was like, man, maybe this is the AEP. I get to kind of sit back and kind of just, sit on the sidelines and coach from the side. Well, again, when I was looking at the numbers, I was like, no, I'm going to have to go out and write. And so, I don't know the exact numbers, but I probably produced 130, 140 MAPD apps to date from October 1st till now. And so part of that's, and that's, again, leading from the front.
In addition to running your team and doing all that stuff.
Yeah. So many late nights. I remember I was talking to Dan in the hallway, and I was like, I'll be glad for AEP over because I'm tired of, helping agents at 7 o'clock in the morning, because a lot of my agents are on the East Coast. And so it's like they're calling me 9 their time at 7. Hey, sorry to wake you. I'm already awake. But then still on the back end, some of my agents are still working 8, 9, 10 o'clock on the East Coast. So I'm still supporting them, and so it made for long days. But I appreciate every minute of it. So
absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. Just to add to that, like what you said with selling and everything, we had a lot of new agents that they might not have sold before, whether it be on the phones or in person. A lot of that's like, okay, well, I'm just going to jump on and sell, and you're going to just join me on the Zoom call, and I'm going to show you how it's done.
Yep.
So that way we can show you how it's done, give you tips while we're doing it, versus just somebody on the sideline saying, oh, you need to do this or you need to do that. Let me actually show you how to do it, and that way we can learn together.
Yeah, and systems, the CRM, the dialer, if you're doing that, Convoso, like knowing all of the different systems and programs that, depending on how you as an agent want to do business, they can help support you, right? And that's whether you're like a field agent, you're meeting people in home, feet on the streets, doing business virtually, remotely, or some sort of combination of both. Medicare and ACA and ancillary products, you guys can help them all. Tate, do you have anything to add on?
Just, this was my first annual enrollment, so I kind of had to work my butt off this year to get prepared, prepare myself so I could prepare my team. But it was pretty cool kind of to watch the team grow and kind of, expand. I had the opportunity to do a lot of in-home appointments, sit down. That's what I'm best at. Personally, I'm still good on the phones, but it was pretty awesome for me to do that and then sit down with people and like, hey, not only am I doing it on the phones, but I'm also doing it in person. And this is what I learned. This is what I can share with you. And it was cool to see some of those green, fresh agents like I was just over a year ago come in and kind of succeed after being able to, just help them break through the ice.
And just to toot Tate's horn here a little bit, he sounds really good over the phone too.
Yeah,
I mean, for a greenie to this industry, he does really, really well, and he's learned a lot at the same time. So
I'd like to add something. Like one of the things that people might not have seen in the background, and this may be a culture thing, but like the three of us help each other, right? I can message either one of these two, and they can message me, and we're always in the background almost every day. I'd say we're always like, hey, help me take care of so-and-so agent, update an RTS and Sunfire. We're very collaborative in our approach. So it's not like there's friendly competition, but at the same time, it's like we realize that we're on one team.
Yeah.
And one of the things that makes this model different, because I think a lot of, our competitors, a lot of FMOs have some sort of like, rep or regional rep. I'll just tell you what I see across the industry. It's shot across the bow maybe, but they just don't have the skill sets to sell. They don't know what they're talking about. They don't have their feet in the dirt. They don't know how to sell ACA modern. They don't know how to sell Medicare ACA. They don't know how to actually personally produce a policy themselves. And a lot of times they don't even know how to use the systems that they're trying to get the agents to use. So they're essentially trying to help people using theory, but not reality, not practicality. And so one of the things that these guys have done is they know the reality. Honestly, I hate to admit it because like ego, but they know the systems and the process modern better than I do now at this point. It does pass you by. And so an important thing, for you agents out there, if you're with, an upline, an entity, an FMO, and you feel like your upline doesn't know how to help you right now, it's probably because they really don't. And I think once you take your finger off the pulse, especially in this day and age with how rapidly everything's changing with tools and tech and compliance and regulations and just the speed of the industry right now, you kind of get rusty after a very, very short period of time. And so I think our model is the antithesis of that. And you guys have done a great job of learning that.
Yeah, I think we complement each other really well because you have Rich, who has mostly in-home experience. Tate has in-home experience, not necessarily so much with Medicare. And then you have me, who's primarily phone. So we always just feed off each other on, hey, in this situation, what about this? So we're always collaborating on, hey, I've got this situation. What would I do best here, or what could work? So we really, like you said, complement and work off each other very well.
Yeah. Tate mentioned he ran some in-home appointments and stuff too. And I think it was fun to hear his war stories from some of his experiences about actually boots on the street meeting some of these Medicare and Medicaid, the dual beneficiaries in the homes. Do you have any?
I think your first
kind of like PG-13 highlights that you could share with us?
Yeah,
Don't give any PHI away.
I mean, because selling windows door to door and home closing deals, it's typically higher income individuals. So I'm in nicer neighborhoods. It's just how it is. Windows are really expensive. But I remember his first appointment that I went in, showed up, and I was like, man, I may or may not die today. I was in a pretty rough area, and I walk in the side, and there's tons of like beware of dog signs. I think I'm about to get mauled, and I walk in the back, and I see this little danky shed, and I hear a voice come from it, and he's like, hey, come on back here. And I was just like, oh, dear, here we go. And I'm in my suit, right? So I go back in, and, the guy, he was a really nice guy, but he was like, check out my new man cave. And I was like, great. Yeah, this is awesome, man.
Like, is this where I get murdered?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the last thing I'm going to see.
Exactly. And no, we chatted for a little. He's like, all right, come in my room. And I'm like, okay. So we go down the basement, and I noticed the first thing, the door to his basement has about a hole about this big in it, just covered by, like a little cloth. And we go in, and it's just a bedroom. And I'm thinking, okay, let's go to the kitchen. He's like, take a seat on the bed. The bed was pretty dang crusty and I'm in my suit, right? And I'm like, oh man, I don't know about this. And so he goes in the kitchen. I follow him, right? Maybe I can find a kitchen table. You always do your deals at the kitchen table. The bed was better off than the kitchen table for sure. So I went and sat down, and it was just, very thick cigarette smoke. And I was like, hey, so pulling up information. Do you have your current insurance card and like your Medicare number, red, white, and blue card? He's like, sure. Pulls out a stack of papers like this thick with tons of different insurance plans from over the years and slaps them down. And if you didn't tell by now, he was a dual individual. And but it was great. Ended up helping him out. But it was just interesting to see, stark contrast from door-to-door, higher income individuals to really, over the phone. At that point, I'd only experienced over the phone. And these dual individuals, I can tell over the phone their situation, but to actually kind of see it. But it honestly, on the flip side, it really just made me realize how awesome it was to be doing this.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you're really just helping these individuals out. I mean, I was able to give him, I think it was like $20, $30 extra a month for groceries. But for him, it was really life-changing.
Yeah.
So it was just cool to be able to actually see that and be, in the dirt. So, yeah.
That's cool. Did you run any in-homes this AEP?
Yeah, I did. I'm further south from Rich and Tate, so they kind of did off our area. So I had less, but I didn't have any as interesting ones. I did have one where it was like downtown Salt Lake City, like very downtown. The guy opens the door for me and he's like, "Hey, come on in." He's got his 2 other roommates over there, and they're putting their drug paraphernalia away. I'm like, okay, like I'll stay away from
Came
you.
to the
Make
right
sure I
place.
Shake your hands.
Yeah.
Get back in the car, sanitize my hands, and wipe everything down with Clorox wipes. And
Yeah, I hate hand sanitizer. I'm not a hand sanitizer fan, but when I was running a ton of in-home appointments, I went through a lot of hand sanitizer.
A lot.
I'm
A
like,
lot.
I'll take the risk.
exactly, yeah. So I only had that one that I can think of, but
Yeah, that's what's cool about, this business and, meeting people in home is you have a wide variety of some of the most, detrimental people, social determinants of health down on their luck. And you can really make a big difference for those people as well as, very wealthy individuals and anything in between. And you're able to help all of them in some form or fashion with their health or wealth. And, so that's one of the things that strategically we have these guys doing. And Rich ran a bunch of in-home appointments, still does. And I think it really helps these guys know what you all are up against, what their agents are up against. And each of these guys, their teams, I mean, we're talking they have, 20, 30 active agents and then, that many that are,
Paper
less
active. I call it paper active.
Paper active.
Yeah.
But their teams are writing, they're going to write thousands of apps each this year. So they know what they're talking about. We have a lot of support infrastructure from their teams, our team channels on Slacks. These guys are all accessible. They know how to plug you into all of Agent Boost's resources through our contracting team, our finance and commissions, plug you in with, broker carrier reps, and basically kind of be that transitionary element for you as an agent to the other industry resources that you need to be successful. Is that a good?
Yeah, I think it's fair assessment. Yeah.
So what have you, what have you guys seen from some of your agents that have been some of the challenges? Maybe like each of you kind of take a shot at like, what are some of the things that are preventing or have prevented agents from being successful this year?
I think one of the biggest ones I've seen is maybe what like an unrealistic expectation. Like they think they're going to get contracted in 2 days and they're going to have access tomorrow and there's going to be the perfect script. Maybe I'm naming a couple of things, but they're just going to sit down, sit in their chair, put on their headphones and write 20 deals a day. And some agents, like when they plug in, and when they finally get plugged in, they go, this isn't what I thought. When I was at name the other company, I was writing 70 deals a week or whatever the number is. I just think there's a big like misconception on what the actual opportunity is and like how like you're actually going to have to work hard and put in time, energy, and effort, and it's not going to be it's not a side hustle, right? Mm-hmm. So maybe I named a couple things, but that's kind of what I've seen for a lot of agents.
Yeah, I would say the same. It's kind of what you said on one of the podcasts. It's like you and Dan are like, get my license, become a millionaire, and they forget all the steps in between. Of hey, that's a great attitude to have, but we have about 58 steps in between there we got to do, and I'm here to help you with that. A lot of people are just like you said, they get on there, they take 20 calls, and they don't get anything. It's like, well, I'm not very good at this. It's like, okay, you got to spend some time here. Chase, our recruiter, he always tells a story. He's like, I had one of my agents in September. He wrote 40 policies where September is historically the slowest month. They're like, how did he do that? I'm like, well, he was on the phone every second of the day looking for that. And there were some days where he got nothing, but he spent all day doing it. But then the next day he would get 4. So just grinding it out and taking the time to do that, because you're going to have to go through a lot of suck to get enrollment is what it comes down to.
Yeah, I mean, just kind of piggybacking off it, it's the same thing for me. They sit down, they expect them to basically fall in their lap. And it's like, yeah, I mean, you could have been working at eHealth and you just running inbounds all day and you don't realize on the back end, but the retention's horrible. Whereas, the people who are honestly writing 2 deals a day, they're still working 6 to 8 hours a day and they only get 2, but that's just because they're actually doing the work. And I think they like to have it given to them a lot of times. But then I've also ran into a lot of agents who start off that way, and I straight up tell them, you won't succeed if you do this, and they actually work, and then they see the results and they're like, okay, wow, this is,
You were telling the truth.
Yeah, I don't just do inbounds. Okay, I can, so yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I've seen that I think we're on the tail end of the industry is you've had, during the height of the e-telebrokers, and not to, beat those guys up too much, but almost all the new insurance agents for the past 5 years, from let's say 2018 through 2023, were brought and into the industry, like dragged into captivity, so to say, into the industry through these big e-brokers. And that's the eHealth, the GoHealth, the assurances, the select quotes, all of them. And not saying that's bad, but there's a life cycle generally of agents, right? Of those agents that are doing telephonic business. And not only that, but it's not, it proved out to not be a sustainable way of doing business for multiple reasons, right?
Yeah.
When you're just running essentially an enrollment mill, buying calls, and some of these agents that were used to taking back-to-back calls, because we have a lot of those agents now who were there at the height of the heyday, when we had agents that were like, oh, I sold 35 in a day. I was at a 15, 20-minute average call, taking back-to-back inbounds, slamming people in enrollments. Yeah. And I'm like, that's not how this business was ever designed to be done.
Yeah.
That's not good for anybody. And then the finances of it and the compliance of it has obviously shifted to where I really feel like we're in the tail end of, call it the rise of the telebrokers, where you still get some of those people that have like a bad expectation of like, well, I should be taking 5, 6, 7 inbounds, sales, getting 7 inbound sales a day. And it's like, that's not a reality anymore. Those kind of leads, those LTVs, those finances don't pencil out, and this is never how we did it. And so what you guys were talking about expectations is something that we always are fighting against, whether it's, a field agent who thinks that they're going to get their license and all of a sudden somehow the universe is going to know that they're now ready to sell, and the business is going to come flooding into them, or they made a WordPress website and all of a sudden hundreds of enrollments are going to come finding them, or they're a teledigital agent where they think they're going to get on some sort of phone call and everybody's going to be a golden sale, where they call up and are like, I'm newly turning 65 and I just need you to tell me what insurance plan to get on, It's not a reality, and it's not a reality of any sales, So I think what can you guys, let's kind of talk about the opposite side of it, which is what are some of the things you've seen agents do or mindsets that they've had that have led them to be successful this year?
I would say, like, one thing I tell my agents is consistency breeds success. If you're willing to work hard and be consistent, let's be honest, this is a momentum business, right? If you're like, hey, I'm going to work 2 hours a day, you're going to get 2 hours a day results. But if you're willing to put in a consistent 6-8 hours a day, and I'll just use, I like to use Joannick as my example, right?
Shout out Joannick.
Shout out.
Don't say his last name. What? Well, there's only one Joannick.
There's only one Joannick,
but
and his wife's on the team too now.
He ain't leaving us ever anyway.
Well, and so like I remember when I recruited him last February, so it's 2 Februaries ago, whatever. Hey man, here's the model. If you're willing to just trust me, and if you're coachable and you're willing to be consistent day in, day out, week in, week out, I promise you this business will work. It's like gravity. It's like a rule. And you fast forward. What I love about his stories is, and I probably said this on the last podcast, the change in his is not just for him now. I think it's his kids' lives is definitely going to change. Maybe even their kids' kids. Just to put it into perspective, this year with the consistency mindset, he wrote over 500 deals. Right? He's MA deals, and so it's like, what is that? That's day in, day out, no excuses. He'll even call me and be like, man, I started late today. I was at the gym, and I'm like, man, I didn't write any apps today. And it's like, well, you wrote 5 deals yesterday, man. Like, it's okay. You're consistently over time. And so that's what I see is the people who are consistent. And then, that's the end result. And the people in the beginning who are just willing to try. Like, again, tell my agents, I'm like the dad who pushes his kids into the deep end of the pool. I'm not here to hold your hand every step of the way. I want to see what you can do. Like, because our experience, I don't know about you guys, but, I passed AHIP, You know, I did all the carrier trainings. There was nothing online, and it was like, go sell.
Our day was the equivalent of back in our day. We used to walk to school both in snow, uphill, both hills, both way with gunny sacks wrapped around our feet, you know. But it was.
Yeah, I even remember a day where it was like, hey, Rich, you know, you're going to do community meetings. What's that? You stand up in front of people and you read from this book. Okay. And then my first one, there was like 20 people there. Never seen one done, never done one. And I didn't sell anybody because I sucked. But
at least you're willing to
I was willing to do it. And so, like, for me, willing to try and always being consistent are kind of my two go-tos. So.
Yeah, exactly. And then one saying that you always do is your best ability is your availability. So I'm telling people, like we kind of alluded to before, the guy who sold that 40 in a month in September during the slow time, his ability was his availability. He was always there and always selling. And I'll kind of equate like our position a little bit to like we'll be kind of like a personal trainer. It's like, hey, you can come to the gym. I'll help you. I'll do what I can, but I can't lift the weights for you, and I'm not going to get you to the gym. You got to get yourself there, but you show up,
and
I'm going to be there to help
right.
you.
Yeah,
exactly. I'm not going to make you eat right or do all the extra stuff, but I'll be there to help you with it if you're willing to show up and do the work.
Yeah, I mean, putting a little twist on this, something successful I've seen, you know, I totally agree with everything. My top agents are people who just are working all day. Shout out my guy Mark. He wrote like 250 apps this annual enrollment, and he literally was working about 12 hours a day. He'd be asking for, you know, Mark's lookups and everything like that at 9 at night, and he's on Eastern time zone. Like, he was working till the butt crack of the night, you know, as late as you could go. But
he would be mad if he didn't get 10 a day.
Exactly. He was averaging like 7, 8 a day. But kind of on the flip side, what I've noticed is just kind of the way these agents are selling. I listen to the calls of my top agents compared to, you know, lower agents, and it's just the difference, right? They're, you know, building trust, they're building credibility. They're really, you know, letting these old people know, hey, like, I'm here for you. I got you. I'm honest. I'm letting you know what you need and what's, you know, best for you, I guess, compared to some of the lower tier agents who they only write a couple during annual enrollment, and throughout the month, you know, they're just more so there for the money, which, I mean, ultimately everybody is there for the money, but they're really only there, hey, I got to pay my rent next month type of thing. And they just try and slam through an enrollment, and well, they get a chargeback 2 months later. But my guy, his name's James. He, you know, does field and virtual, like over the phone. But I listen to his calls. He's just from start to finish. Hey, let me look up every single hospital you might go to make sure it's in network. When he's done with the enrollment, he texts them all their doctors, what locations are covered, what locations aren't covered. He's just really making sure that they know, hey, like, this is my guy for life. And his retention, I mean, you know, I see chargebacks from him. I mean, I might see 1 or 2 come through, you know, every month, and it's spread out through months. I mean, last year, he's probably gotten maybe 10 chargebacks, and that's it.
Yeah, I think the top agents really set proper expectations with their clients.
Yeah.
I think that's what really makes the big separation.
Yeah, and that doesn't matter whether you're doing it virtually or in person, right? Like, if you do a good job and those people know you, I mean, I kind of, for our agency at least, pioneered when we started doing stuff virtually in 2019. And I've had clients on the books now 5 years that I never met in person, that we talk to all the time. And then even some of my Hawaii people and stuff like that I ended up meeting in person later when I'm like, hey, I'm actually out here right by your house. Let's meet up. And, you know, so it can be done. And we've never done our virtual sales like one of these, you know, enrollment mills. We've always placed those, made sure that you're doing the right job up front, training agents to put them on the right plan, being there for them afterwards, knowing how they can get a hold of you, and then trying to do a good job after the fact of, you know, building a virtual avatar or being there for those people. Because the truth is, you know, yeah, you can't, there is a difference if you meet somebody in the field sometimes, but like most of my clients, I probably wouldn't have ever remembered what they looked like after I met with them in person. But if you call them or they call you and you do a good job, you're going to build that relationship. It doesn't really matter, you know, if you're in person or over the phone or however you're doing it. A good agent's a good agent.
Well, you've built value, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You've built value in their life. You set yourself apart, you know, from everybody else that's calling them.
Yep.
Just by that.
Yeah, I think, you know, one of the things that I've seen from your teams and some of these new agents that have got up and been ready to go this year are they willing to become experts? Are they willing to become knowledgeable and have actual value? Because as we talked about, a lot of these virtual agents over the past couple of years, they weren't really experts. Frankly, they were enrollment processors. They were human bodies that needed to look at, some sort of information on a computer screen and make a recommendation, right? But they didn't really understand how Medicare worked. They didn't really understand how networks work and some of the nuances and the deep way that the plans are funded and why changes happen on the Medicare and ACA side. And I've seen the agents that are successful now have had to level up in their professionalism.
Yeah, those tele agents, a lot of time, all they're good at is just following that script that's in front of them instead of utilizing all the tools that are out there. Because there's so many different nuances you're going to get with a client when it comes to networks and situations and medications. There's so many different things. You kind of have to learn how to know all that stuff, and you're not going to. I mean, we've been doing this forever. We still learn stuff every day, I feel like. But, we kind of, the old adage, teach a man to fish. I'm not just going to tell you what the answer is. Hey, let me show you how I found this so that way you can know the next time as well and pass it on.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So looking into to next year, 2025, we are going to be, we're expanding this team. It's worked out well for us. We've made, we're going to make another hire and probably bring somebody in our Florida location. We're growing this team, but this is one channel of what we do at Agent Boost. We have independent team leads, we have agencies, and so this channel is part of our diversified strategy, even though it's one of our really high growth initiatives. So one of the things I really liked about, these guys is they all have come to me and given me kind of their own personal goals. They're ambitious. We kind of teach these guys that it's like their business within the business, right? They can control their own paycheck. They can grow their, as they grow and as they recruit and join their teams, that's how they're able to further provide for themselves. And it's kind of the sky's the limit there. So what are you guys, what are some of your goals for next year for your teams or that you'd like to see, or what are some of the, what are some of your team goals?
Yeah, I mean, I'll start. One big one that I want to focus on next year as I grow my team is one thing I really want to do is I know a lot of individuals who I feel would be really good in the industry. And I want to personally recruit about 10 individuals myself, selling good individuals and really kind of put myself out there more. This year was my year to learn the industry, grow my team. And now I want to, grow it kind of, grassroots, build that as well now that I have more of that opportunity.
Build some stallions in the stable.
Yeah, exactly. But one of the other big things that I want to work on is I have a lot of agents on my team, and I have a lot of kind of, I'd say, mid-tier agents who are writing maybe 10 to 15 apps a month. And, from what I see, that's kind of where they're going to stay. I want to take 20 of those guys and put them top tier agents, get them to produce. I see the potential. I see it. I can see the diamond through the rough, and I'm just trying to chisel away. So those are some of mine, but, really just continue to grow the team, expand my knowledge, and, write a lot more policies myself, build my book of business.
Yeah, I didn't give you credit, but you achieved the next level within a year too. Like you got a promotion basically like the internal level too. So shout out to you. Tate got a promotion too, and Jordan's going to hit his next level pretty quick here too. So doing well. What about you, Jordan? What are your...
I mean, pretty much kind of the same thing that Tate said, try to recruit more people. I mean, I have a lot of connections from my old job at eHealth and know a lot of people, and I just know people who I know who can really excel at this. So try to bring them over and show them that, hey, if you work at this, this is kind of financial freedom you can have, and I'll help you do that. And I've got a few agents in mind, like he said, where I really want to, bring them to the next level as well. They're just right there, and I can see the drive in them. They're like, hey, I want to learn more. I want to do this. And they're going to come out to our Agent Elite Camp here in January, and they're going to be really excited. And I think that's going to make a huge boost. Talking about his agent, James, he sent me a message saying, hey, I came out to one of these last year, and it made a huge impact. And so hopefully getting some more of those people I'm trying to recruit, maybe have them come to that as well. Say, hey, this is what we can do and what we can help you with.
So I would just kind of parrot some of the same stuff these guys are saying. Obviously, grow my team. I'm going to focus more on some organic growth, like recruit my own people from within my team. I think those make really good agents because they're tied to somebody else.
Yeah, Joanna just brought his wife on, and she's killing it too.
Yeah,
Yep.
a couple other family members as well. They got their own little pod, and so it's cool to see them grow. But like one of the cool things, like shameless plug, as far as like bringing on another agent success manager too. I feel like I've had a hand in your guys' growth a little bit. I've been able to kind of share with you everything I know, and so I'm excited for that part too. Personal growth, but also team growth. So whoever the next agent success manager is for the three of us, so we'll just take him or her under our wing and just be like, hey, this is how we do it, and I'm excited for that.
Yeah, you kind of touched on the agent elite trainings that we've done, and you'll probably start seeing some more ads for us, but we have our first one. It's January 21st and 22nd.
22nd, yeah.
Tuesday,
And
Wednesday.
Here in Salt Lake, and we kind of rotate those between our Utah location and our Tampa location. And what we called this our boot camp last year, our 2-day boot camp, but we kind of rebranded it and are calling it our agent elite trainings. And the reason why is because agents that attend that training, I think probably 80 to 90% of the people that came to those turned out to actually be consistent producers. And so, if you know this industry, there's a high fail rate, a high washout rate in independent agents. Statistically, less than 10% of the agents are still active in the industry within their first 2 years. But the agents that came to this training had like I said, an 80 to 90% success rate. And so we're going to expand on that. And some of the things that we're going to talk about, I just kind of pulled that up while you were talking, Rich, is, the first thing we're going to start with is basically like a career assessment, a deep look internally for these agents. Are you new? Are you just getting started out? Okay, where are you at in your career? Like, where are you at in your life? Do you actually have a reasonable shot? Are you trying to go be an independent agent? Is your life structured? Are your finances in any sort of way, shape, or form that you're going to be able to transition into this industry? Or do you need to maybe pivot towards one of our models that can help you get more, cash now? Like what's a realistic assessment there? I think that's part of what you guys do as you get new agents on your teams. That's probably one of the first things you do is, hey, where are you at in your life, in your career, and do you have a chance to make this work?
Yeah, I think Rich is about to say this. So he's like, how are you making money right now? How are you making ends meet, right? Yeah. What are you doing to make income?
How are you feeding your family? Like, are you behind on your rent? Like, it might be a little personal, but I need to know, right? Because that way I know, like, a lot of what we do is I call it like just coaching people off the ledge. Like, this isn't working, man. I got to go, get a job. Well, hey, man, if you go get a job, think about the math of that job, right? You're going to go trade your time for money. You're doing the same thing here, in essence. One deal, $30 an hour. If you do the math, like, that's how I look at it, and so that's a lot of what we do.
I think you have a good example to speak to that of the person who's going to go do something else and you convince them to jump on the phones and sell. You remember that?
Do you remember the name?
I don't remember the person's name, but I remember they were talking about, like, this is just working.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
like 1 or 2 hours a day, so I'll let you take over.
Actually, funny enough, one of my, more higher end agents, she was about to leave because, her payment, she like got paid and she was a little less than she thought because she had some that never went into effect. She's like, I can't do this. And I just sat down and I just was completely brutally honest because I saw the potential and I was like, look, like, work hard. I said, do you know how much you would have gotten this month? Right? Well, write a couple more than that and make sure that you get that much next month and you're fine. I asked her, okay, well, how much is your rent? How much are you needing to pay? And kind of like Rich does with some agents is I just did the math. She's turned into one of my top agents. She was, I think, in 4th or 5th place on my team during annual enrollment. This annual enrollment, she'll probably, with her structured bonuses, she'll probably make 40, 45, 50 grand, something like that. So, she hasn't once ever since then complained about or worried about money. So, yeah.
Tate basically just said, look, you can do this for a few hours and maybe make this much, or you can sell one policy and make more than that.
Yeah. I told her straight up, I just was like, if you sell one policy in one day, that's more than you would have made the entire day working hourly. She was doing DoorDash and all that different stuff, and I just was honest. I was like, $250 for one policy, you're not going to make that in a single day doing DoorDash. So,
yeah. So they're we'll get into what 250 or whatever. That's a component of one of our channels that options that agents have, and we'll kind of talk a little bit about that. But one of the things that I tell agents is when they're new in the industry is you got to burn the boats. And there's a lot of agents. Dan and I always famously refer to real estate agents and insurance agents as what? You guys?
We just failed. Last chance millionaires.
Last
chance millionaires.
Just failed.
Okay.
Get my license, become a millionaire.
Yeah, and last chance millionaires. And I kind of mean that to be disrespectful, and I kind of want people to just really understand what it takes, is because the same thing with insurance license as realtors is it's a low barrier of entry. You know, you can go take a state licensing course and get licensed, but on the upper end of the possibility, you have more multimillionaires in real estate and insurance than any other industry, right? And so you just have a really bad expectation and understanding of that is the first step into the industry, is getting licensed, and then you've got to be in a life situation there. But you know, Dan and I have talked about it many times on the podcast with other people, and everybody I know that's got in this industry that's made it work and is doing very well has had points where their beginning was rocky. They struggled financially. They had to make it work. They had to reorganize their life. They had to, I say, burn the boats. They had to just say, hey, I'm gonna make this work. I'm gonna get through this hard patch financially. I'm gonna do whatever it takes. You know, Brian, myself, Dan, all of us, Rich, everybody I know, even Agent Boost people that have kind of, you know, transitioned into other aspects of the industry, we all struggled to make it work, but the sacrifice is worth it. You know, if it was easy, you can get into all the old cliches, but if it was easy, everybody would do it. And so that's the first component. I think we like to be real with people, but then what makes us different and what makes our opportunity different is we have a solution. You know, if you are not in a situation where you can slowly build up over 6 months and you want to do Medicare or ACA or whatever it is, then you can start on one of our LOA teams where basically everything is provided for you. The tech, the leads, the resources, the training, and you can make a high amount of money every week, get paid weekly. And we tell people, use it as a means to it. You might be happy on that forever, you know, because people get on that team, you know, they get paid every week. It's very easy for them to process their sales, and they have a tiered commission schedule. They can make a good amount of money. Or we tell them, hey, do this for a year or two, save up a bunch of money, take your knowledge and transition into being an independent agent. You already have the skill set, and here's a pathway for you to do that. So that's been very, very successful as well.
I've taken to calling it the Agent Boost model. Yeah, so you
cut
do
that up, Mosiah. Give us a clip for that.
I tell agents, say, hey, look, this LOA team or strategic partnership, whatever we're calling it, this is like the 1 year kind of like apprenticeship program. Get into the system, learn everything you need to know, develop these good habits, right? And then, you know, set aside a nest egg, right? And then transition or boost into like a traditional field model, whatever. You still can still do the remote stuff, right? But like, you've learned everything you need to learn. Now go build the book of business, right? Without the whole, you know, the struggle part, right?
Yeah, and we can also help you, coach you through those transitions.
Yeah.
What time of year should you go independent? What time of year should you make that transition? What time of year should you get in the industry? How should you manage your finances to give yourself the best chance? Because the income in this industry, especially as an independent agent, is very lopsided, right? Like, we know that first part of the year, January, you're getting your AEP money, plus you have open enrollment and ACA. So it's way more cash intensive up front there.
And then a lot of agents, like, I've even had to start having those conversations with agents about like business structure and taxes. Oh, you just got that, you know, $40,000-$50,000 check. Don't forget Uncle Sam wants his cut, right? Like, you know, yeah, it may be a big check, but it's someone else has their hand out. And so like, though, you start having those conversations with them as well.
And also, like, you get those big checks, but like, don't forget to invest money back into yourself and into your business as well if you want to keep it growing. Don't just go out and spend it all. Use some of that money you've earned to help you get more money at the same time.
Send your dollars out. They go find friends and bring them back to you.
The grass will be greener if you grow it yourself, and we'll help you teach you how to grow it.
Yeah, don't do what I did in door to door. I made so much money and I spent it all because I thought I could just live my best life, and well, then
that's part of being young.
That's
bought
19.
a real nice limited edition motorcycle. Next thing you know, almost died on it. flip. Yeah, it's
See, Tate's 12 years.
Yeah.
Tate's 12 years younger than me, but he has more life experience.
That's what I was saying. Tate's 10 or 15 years of into his year and a half.
yeah, real.
Your poor parents.
At least you learned your lesson from that. Let's put it
Yeah,
that way.
true.
Yeah, you got married this year as well too.
I did.
We kind of glossed over that too. So you had a big year.
Congrats,
Yes,
man.
I did.
Yeah, a couple. Go ahead.
I was going to shift back to, getting back onto the elite training. One of the things that I saw for people when they came out, when we did the one in Tampa specifically, shout out to Calvin Augusto, is it kind of made it real. Like he had sold, right? He was selling, I would say, decent agent. And, we brought him, took him and his girlfriend. I think they're getting ready to have a kid as well. We took them out to dinner and, just having the conversation with her, we were able to give her buy-in, and now, he went from, I can't give you like the exact percentage, but he increased his production by 200%. And I think that it was just not necessarily like, hey, I came and I learned about like enrollment processes. Hey, I came and learned and I'm bought in, right? I got to meet the people who are supporting me. And so I think that's important too.
Yeah, I think the other thing that I really like about it is we get to meet these people too in person. They get to come out to our office here in Salt Lake or Tampa, and we have a nice, beautiful, large office here in Utah. And I think people are like, oh, this is a legitimate organization,
real.
Yeah.
And these guys are real, and these guys, I'm meeting my team leads, and there's infrastructure of success here, and we go out and we go to dinner together, and we go do a fun activity or something like that, and it really makes people buy into the fact that it's real. It's not some influencer bro, coaching you over, sign up for my course today and I'll teach you how to make the money, but don't go figure out what my life is like, or see that I'm do what I say, not as I do type of insurance coach, So I think people come out, they meet with other people who are going through that part of the journey. They become friends, and it's really the part of the industry that, I really love and enjoy is helping people succeed, seeing them buy into the vision. Like when, I still think all the time about when Joannick texts us his new picture of his new house with his pool. And, we have agents that, watching them level up in life and take this industry and take advantage of the opportunity and really, enact the life that they want and really start leveling up. It's super powerful. I just kind of wanted to quickly highlight some of the other things that we'll talk about in that Agent Elite training. But, we're going to talk about the state of the industry. How do you sell in 2025? Not 10 years ago, like when your upline built his book of business, back when you could, the industry was completely different.
I just sat at Walmart and did booths.
Why don't you just send out mailers and spend $800 on mailers a month and write $10,000 a month in policies?
Or if you're in my position at the old e-telebrokers, like write 1 million policies and figure out retention later kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. So then we go over kind of like, opportunities in Medicare, ACA, ancillary, life, things like that. Talk about our carrier portfolio, and we talk about those carrier strengths and weaknesses, a lot of the nationals, and then our relationship with them and how we can leverage different opportunities as well. We go over in-depth commissions and pay, understanding how you can make your finances work in your model, some of our different opportunities. We go over our tech stack, how to use it, how to leverage it to be more successful, how to keep clients, how to gain clients, all through our tech stack. And then we go over leads. We go over paid leads, different opportunities that we have, how to work them, how to get an ROI on those. And then we're going to go over grassroots leads, how to generate local market things in person, how to go create those opportunities and expand on those. And those are, then the next day we have, virtual marketing and sales practices, making phone calls, intro work, things like that. We do go over compliance, things that you need to do, to make sure that you're following all the rules and regs in this industry. We go over retention, how to keep, it's nice to add clients, but how do you keep them? What are some best practices there? And then we wrap up. We have some additional ACA training if you want to do ACA, talk about FFM, the different metal tiers and things like that. And if you don't know or want to get into the ACA space, then we have that training there. And then usually the first night, like I said, we go out and take the team leads out or take everybody out to a nice dinner, go do some sort of fun activity. Just while we're talking about it, you guys this class in January should be pretty big. We should have quite a few agents coming out. But if you are not affiliated with us, you can come out for free. Seriously, there's no catch. Show up. You can sign up. Just call, email, any of the phone numbers, message us on YouTube, whatever you're listening to this on. Reach out to Agent Boost some way. Say you want to come to the Agent Elite training. It's free. This training would be something that I know other industry influencers charge thousands of dollars for. We don't care. There's no catch. We're not going to make you like sign up for Agent Boost to go to it. I think we had a handful of people that came to our boot camp last year, and most of those people decided they wanted to work with Agent Boost and ended up moving over, which is obviously why we do that. But some of them didn't, and they just got the training and went on their way. So that's cool too.
Yeah. I think I sent you one. I can't remember who it was from. I got an email like, come out to our training. I don't even remember the price, but I was like, why would I pay money for that when I could just do it for free? You know, like, so yeah, come on down, just come meet us. If it's a good fit, great. If it's not, it's good to know people in the industry. You know, if it's a no today, maybe it's a yes tomorrow if your situation changes. So.
Yeah, and if you're a new agent, what we do is, you know, we have a small, you know, intro production limit, and if you've hit that, we just pay for you to come out, pay for your flights and hotel. If you have not, you can pay to come out yourself, and then once you hit that small metric, we'll reimburse you. I think it was $1,000 or
it's $1,000,
something around there to offset your flight and your hotel. So
each of us have, probably 5, 6, 7, 8 team members who all new this year are coming out. You know, and it's going to be great. It's going to be great. So
it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah. What else? We got to wrap real quick, but any final words? You guys, I think this model is really cool. It's unique. You guys have done a killer job, and I think you're going to be, you know, integral for our growth and success next year.
For me, man, I'm just grateful, right? When I approached Dan late 2021, I was in a bad spot, you know, just got back from a deployment, didn't even know if I wanted to do Medicare anymore. And I told Dan, I was like, I want a position for growth. I want to do something different than I've been doing. And it's been everything I could ever hoped, right? It's made the difference in my life. So
appreciate having you.
I really want to echo that too. 'Cause like, I don't think there is another job I want to do other than this. And I look forward to coming to work every day, and this is really what I love doing. I love Medicare, I love helping people, and I love coaching people, helping them get, you know, better themselves in the industry and make more money.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I got to a point from sales where I kind of got burnt out a little bit, and if I didn't get this job, I already had a job lined up to go be a firefighter. So
mustache for it.
Yeah, I got this job, and it kind of just re-sparked my, you know, the fire in my eyes for this career and industry, and I'm just super blessed and grateful to be here, and I'm just lucky to be able to do what I do and help others, whether it's Medicare beneficiaries or agents. So
yeah, now you got the best of both worlds, Tate. You got the sweet firefighter mustache, and you'll make more money. Yeah. So, yeah, all you need to do is go out and, you know, lumberjack a little bit, or maybe do some volunteer firefighter, and you got the best of both worlds. Yeah. One thing I said about you this week, Jordan, is yesterday I think I was talking about it, where some people are you know, really good coaches, and I think you guys are, you know, good players and good coaches, where you're able to teach other people and replicate yourself and amplify others' abilities and production. And I think you guys are all doing a good job of that. And so super proud of you guys. Hopefully, you know, if you guys listen to the podcast, I wanted to do it just to, maybe it sparks, you know, something else in some of you guys of some different models. Just kind of let you know one of the secret sauce, kind of a peek behind the curtain of what we're doing here. And it's a lot easier said than done. We can tell you guys what we're doing. If you are an agent out there that, you know, doesn't feel like you're getting the support, hit us up and we'll place you with one of these guys or one of our other really good team leaders, and make sure you get the teach, training, and support that you need and deserve. So,
yeah. Thanks, Mike.
Anything else? Looking forward to 2025. We're gonna have a killer year.
It's gonna be great.
I got it. You all are gonna double your team sales, right? You
said
it on the pod.
That was the goal.
A 200% increase.
Hey, I doubled.
The money's green.
I mean, this is our first year, so I guess we gotta follow suit with the rich and double it. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least a 15%.
I doubled with less agents too. So
okay,
I've tooted my own horn.
help these guys out. Join their team.
Yeah.
See you guys.
See ya. Agent